We are coming close to the end of our hour. We have one last speaker, and I apologize to Angela Lynch-Clare, who is the final speaker, but please hang in there. She is the graduate of Columbia University and psychology graduate of Teachers College, and she's a sex therapist. She studied at the Ackerman Institute for Marriage and Family Therapy and trained and certified as a sex therapist at New York Hospital Sex Therapy Program and practiced in couple sex therapy in her solo practice for many years. And so she is going to give us a brief presentation on selected sexual topics. Good afternoon. It's all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon, I'm going to talk about how to achieve an orgasm. I am a sex therapist, and I will tell you what professionals in my field do and when and why you might need our help. In the interest of saving time and appealing to the majority, this address is geared towards heterosexual women in committed relationships. This is a population that shows up in sex therapists' offices. Today, I'm looking at the Caribbean woman population. Our group, as we know, is hesitant to admit sexual problems. As one of you, I understand this reluctance to admit to this. Sexual failing in our community is a taboo subject. Caribbean men, like many men, often consider themselves sexually superior and are slow to admit sexual inadequacy. Loving partners often put up with poor sexual performance in their efforts to protect the, shall I say, fragile male ego, so women continue to suffer in silence. In our community, sex joins mental health in that realm of subjects one often sweeps under the rug and does not address. Years ago, having a profession dealing with sexuality was something my own mother thought should be kept hidden. When I visited home in Barbados, she admonished me not to tell people I was a sex therapist. Some knew what I did, and they assumed that I had sex with my clients because they had heard of sexual surrogates, because in those days, everyone knew about Masters and Johnson. But I'm here to tell you, sex therapists do not have sex with their patients. They teach their patients to have sex with each other. And so here I am today, your sex therapist of the afternoon, freely telling a group of Caribbean women to speak up, free yourselves of societal constrictions, and you deserve a good time in bed. Before embarking on your quest for the big O, the orgasms, women must first find out if it is possible for their partners to provide them with this experience. Is your partner capable of achieving an erection? In medical terminology, is he impotent? Can your partner maintain an erection long enough for you to reach a state of orgasm? Medically, is he a premature ejaculator? Does your partner keep on thrusting for an inordinately long time so that the act becomes painful and annoying? Medically, this is known as retarded ejaculation. If your partner exhibits any of these behaviors, you need to find out if the problems stem from a physiological basis, then they can be dealt with medically. Your partner should seek out a urologist, or your PCP can make the necessary referral. You cannot reach orgasm in the usual way with such a man. Many women have sat in my office and cried and blamed themselves for their inability to achieve orgasm with men who suffer from some of these problems. They feel themselves not woman enough for their men, and ironically, blame themselves for not being able to reach orgasm when the reality is their partners can't retain erections for a long enough duration for sexual desire to build up in these women and for orgasm to occur. Funnily enough, they also tend to have fertility problems because you have to be able to have sex to become fertile or to have a baby. However, there are other ways to reach orgasm besides standard genital to genital sexual intercourse. So all is not lost in this situation. If the problem is medical, cannot be fixed, and you plan to stay with this partner, you need the help of a sex therapist for this. Women must also know if they too have full sexual function. If a woman is experiencing dyspareunia, painful intercourse, she needs to see her gynecologist first to medically fix this problem. Also, vaginismus sometimes can occur. This is a problem commonly seen in recreational sex rather than recreational sex, which is sex for fun. In this situation, the woman often is going to an infertility specialist, and when she tries to have sex with her partner, if he touches the vaginal opening, it shuts up like that flower, a Venus flytrap, and nothing gets in, not a finger, and definitely not a penis. When women are tracking their cycles and are informed at what point they should have intercourse because they want to get pregnant, their bodies often perform this trick and shuts the vagina up to prevent intercourse from occurring. Concomitantly, the male partner can also develop secondary impotence in this situation. He too, his body does not like being told when to have sex, so he becomes incapable of having erections. This dysfunction now is stemming from a psychological genesis, and in this case needs to be treated by a sex therapist. And this problem is often fixed by sex therapy. I have seen such patients, got them having sex again, and returned them to the infertility specialist who then helps them get pregnant. So now that we've taken care of the medical problems of the couple, we have two sexually functional adults in a relationship capable of enjoying pleasurable sexual encounters, right? Maybe. There was a popular song called Escape, the Pina Colada song, which aptly captures modern sexual angst. A man searches the personal columns for excitement. He finds a woman who, like himself, is a sybarite. She likes pina coladas, getting caught in the rain. She's not into health food, she's into champagne. She tempts him away from his life. He describes as humdrum with the words, I'm the lover you look for, write to me and escape. So he's intrigued. He agrees to meet her in a bar so they can plan their escape. She shows up at the appointed time. It is his wife. The song continues, I never knew that you like pina coladas, etc. This sadly is still the modern condition. There is a great lack of communication between couples. There's a lack of sexual communication. One does not realize that the other too wants excitement. This hobbles their relationships and stops them from becoming all they could to each other. Many women work hard during the day. They come home to family life. This is childcare, cooking, sometimes homework, housework, and these women are tired. And at times, there's also a partner who wants his share of the pie. He wants the attention of his wife, but he too is tired. So bedtime becomes a time for sleep and rest. And this is why lack of desire remains the number one sexual problem in committed relationship in today's world. Anorgasmia, of course, also results from all of this. Anorgasmia is the inability to have an orgasm. And this follows quickly on the heels of lack of desire. And sometimes one or both partners have a lover on the side with whom they've already had today's fun sex, so there's no need to turn to the marital bed for excitement and love and all of the things that one wants in a sexual relationship. So this is why when couples come to sex therapists, we have to insist that first there's an interview one-on-one where the other partner is included, and you find out if there is a lover, and they must agree to stop the lover and work on the relationship, because you have to learn the other person's body, you have to be vulnerable, and you have to create a relationship before you can function sexually. Sometimes these women, instead of going to sex therapists, vaguely complain to therapists or medical professionals about, quote, problems with intimacy. But unfortunately, many professionals do not realize the role of a sex therapist in a relationship, and so these pleas fall on deaf ears and often remain unnoticed. Lack of desire and anorgasmia are some of the preeminent problems today managed by sex therapists. Bad sex also steers women away from sexual encounters with their partners. There's now a tendency for some young men to engage in rough sex. This example of toxic masculinity is inspired by some contemporary music. Rap music, with its vaunting male sexuality, can inspire the use of Viagra and similar drugs to create at times annoyingly painful and long-lasting intercourse, what women try to avoid. Also, manhandling the partner roughly during the act becomes part of the ritual. Like all things sexual, this is fine if agreed upon by both partners. The Black female's evolving social history often reflects in relationships. Women are becoming more educated than their male counterparts. Some women are now out earning their partners. The paucity of eligible Black males, many are in jail or are not attracted to women or to Black women, can cause women to accept subpar relationship behavior, bad sex, and sometimes no sex, all of this without complaint. There is also the tendency in some Black relationships for the spouse to be seen as mommy, and this husband can actually refer to her as mommy. This woman sometimes starts seeing her sexual partner as her man-child, someone to be coddled, indulged, and protected, and eventually seen as a lesser being, not someone to whom she is sexually attracted. This woman can lose the taste for sexual expression with this person who does not step up to the plate and adult. Therapy can help with this relationship problem and institute a healthy adult relationship of equals between them. Once a woman decides to work on her sexual relationship, she must get in touch with her own sexuality. She must learn what pleases her, and she can become the tour guide to her own private sexual landscape. A woman should know what her sexual organs look like. Get a book for this. She should know what they do, and most important, she should know about her clitoris and its importance in sexual response, and the fact that she can have a clitoral orgasm too, as well as the traditional vaginal orgasm. She should learn what type of clitoral stimulation she needs and exactly where on this organ she gets the best sexual response. This information can later be shared with her partner. Kegel exercises also are a must for women to be able to provide and experience pleasurable sex. These exercises strengthen the pelvic floor and give the vaginal muscles the ability to tightly grab the penis just before ejaculation and milk it, as this technique is called in the Arab societies where it is practiced. Kegel exercises, Kegel muscles can be located if you start to urinate and then stop the flow. Do this several times till you become familiar with the muscles in play. These muscles are the Kegels. Also, locate the muscles you'd use to eject a tampon or maybe push out a baby. This is another way of identifying these important pleasure muscles. Try relaxing and contracting them now as you listen to me. Of course, you can also go the lazy woman's way and buy a Kegel exercise device. Google them and choose the one that appeals to you. You can then lay back and have the device relax, contract, and push and pull your vaginal muscles into their best sexual shape ever. You should get the book For Yourself by Lonnie Garfield Barback. This is an excellent book for learning about your body, its sexual response potential, and how to heighten female sexual capability. Once you feel yourself in good sexual shape and have positive feelings towards your partner, it is time to invite him to share sexual pleasure with you. Prepare thoughtfully. Bad smells are a turn-off, so you should both shower or even bathe each other before the session. This can become part of the ensuing sex play. A glass of wine or beer to relax can be helpful. Make sure not to imbibe enough to make you fall asleep. Also, a light meal can be festive and practical, making this a special date night or day and offering the opportunity to fall asleep, maybe in each other's arms afterwards. Do not gorge on a heavy meal, which can cause sleepiness and blood flow to go to the digestive system instead of to the sexual organs before your sexual agenda is accomplished. In sex therapy, couples perform sensate focus massages on each other. This intimate form of touching initially excludes breasts, buttocks, and genitals. You learn to see the rest of your body as a sex organ. You go, you go over your partner's body, touching everywhere, probing, using the right kind of pressure. Over a period of time, breasts, buttocks, and genitals are gradually reintroduced to sex play, and this partner learns how to caress them in a way that pleases. Good sex is hard work. You have to learn your partner, and you have to learn how to become a lover and find out what gives pleasure to your lover. Do not assume that because you read something in Cosmo that it will work with this particular man. He has to want it. Handwriting is a technique in which we learn what pleases the partner. As you take turns caressing each other from head to toe, when it is your turn and your partner touches an area in a way that you enjoy, place your hand over his hand, stop him there, and apply as much pleasure or as much pressure, or sometimes as little pressure as you feel is necessary for you to feel good about that. You can raise the hand, you can press it down, and have him do the same when it is your turn to explore him. Eventually, you will both learn what is needed to please the other person. Then you add breasts. You do the same thing with the breasts. You add buttocks. And finally, you add genitals. You will have already discovered many other erogenous zones on this person's body and realize that in sex play, you do not necessarily have to just grab for these three areas. At this point, you should have built up excitement. There should be an urgent need for these specific sexualized areas now to be included in the exercise. It can be stimulating to view your partner's naked body. This also creates vulnerability and also is educational to see how the parts fit together and to learn where things can go. I will never forget my first couple when I was training as a sex therapist. They had an unconsummated marriage. They were religious, ignorant about human anatomy, and couldn't figure out where everything went, and were too shy and embarrassed and inhibited to ask. He could not find her vaginal opening. She was too shy to hold his penis and direct it to the spot. Do not let this be your problem. There should be no shame in sex in a committed relationship. Also, sexual aids can be helpful if both partners agree. You can start easily. Use emotion lotion. This is a low scale introduction to the world of sexual pleasure. It heats up when you blow on it or lick it. You use your imagination in how you use it. There are many other things that couples can choose together. Anticipation can be a powerful aphrodisiac as you and your sexual partner plan for a night of pleasure with food, wine, a mellow soundtrack, sex toys, and an uninhibited each other. A modern version of the Persian poet Omar Khayyam's A Loaf of Bread, a Jug of Wine, and Thou. Before engaging in actual sexual intercourse, one should know the landscape. What does your partner need to reach orgasm? What do you need? A bell curve charts female sexual response. This is more complex than male sexual response. Men can at times go from start to orgasmic finish just by looking at a picture. Women need more, hence music, candlelight, protestations of love, and maybe some porn playing on a screen near the bed. The female sexual response cycle starts with the excitement phase. This can last from several minutes to hours. You play around, touch other places, probe, and find what works and what is exciting. When the correct stimulation is applied reliably, the woman then moves on to the plateau phase. This can last from 30 seconds to 3 minutes. This stage starts the sexual flush, which can resemble a measles rash in some pale-skinned women. There are also other color changes in the genitalia. If appropriate stimulation continues to be applied, this will lead to the orgasmic phase of 3 to 15 seconds. Here in some women, depending on the strength of the orgasm, their toes curl, backs arch, and there are powerful uterine muscle contractions. Much has been said about finally achieving this stage of orgastic bliss. I recall a young patient of mine, a medical student. She said she heard canons in Tchaikovsky's 1812 overture when she finally reached orgasm. This was after much therapy and good hard work on the part of this couple. It is hard work if you have a problematic relationship and have to relearn ways of communicating and responding sexually to each other. Another patient had been married for 20 years. She didn't know what she was missing sexually until she heard a show talking about orgasms and discovered that she too wanted to experience this. She was a nurse, and serendipitously, a doctor at the hospital who referred patients to me heard her story and sent her and her spouse to me for sex therapy. When this couple experienced their first orgasm after 20 years of marriage, she told me it was such fun. It gave them something to do when the kids were out. Sexual position is important in achieving optimal sexual response. The missionary position, male on top, got its name from the Hawaiian villagers spying on the Christian missionaries having sex in this way. This position is not terribly helpful to women. A better position is female superior. Female astride the male, leaning forward at an angle of 60 degrees. This provides stimulation to the clitoris, which rubs against the male's pubic bone, and it allows the male to digitally stimulate the clitoris as they perform genital to genital sexual intercourse. Those of you who want the extra credit assignment can try for the Grafenberg orgasm, sometimes known as the G-spot orgasm after the gynecologist Ernst Grafenberg. He discovered this area in the vagina in 1950. Unfortunately, not every woman has a G-spot, but for those of you who do, the area lies to the back of the vagina along the right side. Stimulation of this spot digitally or with a penis causes violent, pleasurable uterine contractions and the expulsion of an exudate, which researchers claim is sweet to taste. Well worth your time. Happy hunting. Your takeaway from this presentation should be: advocate for yourself sexually. Say and show what you want and how you want it. Focus on developing an intimate relationship with your sexual partner so you can reliably learn how to stimulate each other. Regularly take time out to enjoy well-planned sexual encounters. Be sexually creative and adventurous. Read, try new things that you agree on beforehand, and incorporate the new information with the old tried and true that has worked for both of you. Books that I strongly recommend are For Yourself by Lonnie Garfield Barback. She explores female sexuality and teaches you about your body. And that age-old book, the Kama Sutra, a wonderful compendium of sexual positions are offered in this book, and sexual position makes such a difference to how your sexual encounter ends. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Angela Lynch-Clare. That was a wonderful presentation. I think after that, I might need that second glass of wine after all.